What are some good topics of conversation which do not require a lot of factual knowledge? Sometimes I love just asking people what they're interested in. Even if you can't relate, they get really animated and it might spark a new interest for you. Tried that with a girl, recently single after my first and 4-year-long relationship. Asked her about her hobbies etc., got a bunch of nothing. I don't do much disappointment. Some people really suck at conversing, and I'd say it's just a lack of interest, but she's started convos herself since then. Sorry for my rant, I am bad at this single thing. Travel goals. Favorite, most hated holidays. Best dessert. Is ravioli a sandwich? Is a taco a sandwich? Is a corn dog a sandwich? If ravioli is a sandwich, then lasagna is a club sandwich. What would you do if? Scenarios. What would you do if you had a choice to eat shit that tasted like chocolate or chocolate that tasted like shit? Which one would you go for? Politics apparently. Listen, it's the off-season of less than my favorite iteration of sphere-based sport greater than, and I cannot function as a normal human being unless I vehemently and irrationally support a team of some sort. Politics has teams, so that'll do. My team is never wrong, is always right. I don't care what argument you have, see the previous sentence. Fight me. Go right for the heavy shit. Do you think people are inherently good, evil, or neutral? If we also abhor totalitarianism, why does it keep coming back with such popularity? Since this life is the only thing I know for sure will happen to me in all of eternity for the rest of time itself, why should I bother with morality or suffer for the benefit of others? I was gonna say, basically anything philosophical, but I'll just sit back and support your gas can and road flares approach instead. Ooh oh, I've got one. The weather. I know it sounds obvious, but as someone in sales, more than half my conversations are about the weather. It's just so easy to reference and you can ask folks what they like to do in it. Would you rather, what if? But, questions. My family's favorite, would you rather, question is, would you rather have a head twice the normal size, or half the normal size? Extraterrestrial life, because we know very little of it and there are a lot of possibilities. So no one's opinion can be 100% rejected. I mean, Scientology is definitely bullshit. I'm a huge fan of starting heated arguments about completely pointless bullshit. Can you pass me the salt please? What the fuck is wrong with you? Are you serious? You ask me to pass the salt? You're joking. I can't believe you just asked me that. Well fuck you. I'm not afraid to speak my truth, you coward. On Reddit you don't need factual knowledge to opine about any topic that comes up. Anything opinion-based. Irrational childhood fears and how they led to your sexual fetishes. Feelings. Dogs. Nature. Fantasies. Favorite movies. The how would you commit murder and dispose a body without it getting traced back to you scenarios. I love those scenarios. It's what I do when I'm bored on a long train ride or such. I don't intend to kill anyone, but boy I'd love to figure out how good I'd be at covering my tracks. Pets and hobbies. Fuck. Marry. Kill. Cleaner version. CTB. Cuddle. Travel with. Banish to a floating island with no modern conveniences. What's the crime you want to do during the purge? It's a conversation that's improved with factual knowledge, but requires absolutely none to be involved. It's nice to know what the purge is and what its rules and or regulations are. Our conspiracy provides a few examples daily. What book are you currently reading? It opens up so many opportunities for follow-up questions. Maybe they're rereading an all-time favorite, or it's their first read of a new book from their favorite author. Maybe they took a recommendation from a friend, and it's challenging a previously held belief of theirs. Or maybe they make fun of you and say reading is for nerds. That will also tell you a lot about a person you're getting to know. I lit up just reading that question. I fear that I would fall deeply in love with the asker, then bore them as I tell them about all 23 books I bought and read in lockdown. And they'd lose interest and leave before I got to know what they were reading too. What are you reading, you? Mastering the Flames. Food. That came straight to my mind, because it's all about taste. You might not know about a band, but you do have to eat, and you needn't talk about complicated dishes or foreign cuisine. How boring Amy Schumer is. My vagina. Stories of your lifetime. Well, often people converse about something where one side has factual knowledge and the other asks questions and uses it as an opportunity to learn. For example, I recently conversed with my relative about drag racing cause he was a mechanic on a team while in high school. Didn't know much about drag racing, learned some. Flat Earth. Talking about flat Earth needs a lot of knowledge. So you can talk about it wrongly. Talk about your neighbor. You can invent anything about them. Smiley face. Food. Play a round of dead, gay, or Canadian. I'll have to agree with politics. Even the politicians don't have a clue what they're doing. Ah, wrong. They know that everyone is faking being an adult. Personal experiences, fun anecdotes or storytelling. Anything that starts with, what do you think about? Travel is also a good one. Where have you been? What's the most fascinating experience? This isn't so much a conversation topic, but a little conversation game you can play. If you're at a place like a bar or restaurant, look around the room and try to come up with backstories for other people there. It can be a lot of fun and doesn't require knowledge, just an imagination. It can also tell you a lot about a person, if you're meeting them for the first time. For example, I played this while out on a date with this girl and she managed to take all the fun out the game by being ridiculously cruel in all her assumptions for no real reason at all. It felt like she was projecting issues she had onto these people. Like one guy was sitting at the bar alone. Could have been waiting for someone, you never know, but because he was alone he was a fucking loser with no friends that hates his life. Completely killed the mood, but at least gave me a heads up as to what type of person she was. Songs off course. Speaking as a Brit, discussing the weather is the best possible option for light conversation. The only knowledge it requires is how the weather has been recently and how it is now. Food. It's the most easiest topic of conversation to have with someone. Anything supernatural. Wendigos don't have horns. Talking about favorite hobbies, music, color, animals and so on. When you have to present book in front of the class that you didn't read. Lego Batman the video game. Breakfast meats around the world and their most advantageous preparations. Instant conversation starter with anyone you meet and you will always get the person talking at length. Good quality toilet paper is worth the extra money. The weather? Once someone knows you actually care, know how to listen and are trustworthy, then any talk is real talk. We're all craving honesty. Personal finance as well. It seems to hit a nerve with everyone. How well or poorly your financial life, goals are coming along. If you're at point in a relationship where you're struggling to find conversation topics with a person, I would advise against discussing personal finance. Many people find it deeply uncomfortable. This sort of goes to your first point. You can and should have those real, honest conversations once you're at a point where you trust each other. But I interpret OP's question as, how do you get a conversation going so that eventually you know you can trust each other? Boobs. You can talk endlessly about them, without any real knowledge. But why would you? It seems food is the great common denominator. We had a lengthy and surprisingly heated convo the other week at work about the best way to cook potatoes. Boil 'em, mash 'em, stick 'em in a stew. Apparently, sandwich discussions will get you a lot of mileage. Small talk. Other than that, nothing really. Sports and the weather are pretty much always safe. Sports require knowledge, not everybody watches sports. High school life. Daily routine. I find how people shape their days fascinating. Life. Personal relationship preferences. Porn. I don't know if the women will agree, but the bois know it's true. You can go hours discussing about it. What happens after death and your goals in life. What's your favorite medieval weapon and why? How did you get that scar? Unless it's something traumatic, or you could ask if you have any interesting stories behind a scar they may have. I asked the Joker, just kept feeding me some bullshit about his dad, and the some model he dated. Blah blah blah. Religion, obviously. Raptor Jesus went extinct for our sins and that's a fact. You know, all the stuff everyone always cautions you to avoid talking about. Politics, religion, climate change, racism, COVID, vaccines. Edited to add fishing spots. People's driving habits. How big is yo dick? After graduation topic. Conspiracy theories. I do love to hear those. Weather? The British have made talking about it a cultural staple. I grew up in AS, so I never really understood this one. For us there's about a 95% chance it's sunny on any given day. So it's really not a very interesting conversation most of the time. Rainy days are exciting though. Hegelian dialectics. Commercials. Everyone has a love it, hate it. Weather. I always switch on weather when I'm out of topics. Ask about pets. If they have one they will talk about it, and if they don't, they will talk about their ideal pet. Your own personal experience. Just tell them about something you did, somewhere you went, something funny that you remember, something that happened to you once, etc., etc. Pleasant stories about people, animals in the person's life. Oh, you have a dog? How old? What does she like to do? Stories from the Bible. 1. Share some of your favorite memories involving particular places or times. X. What's your most embarrassing school moment? 2. Talk about places you'd like to visit one day and why. 3. Theoretical fights. Who would win in a fight between Godzilla and 1,000 gremlins? 4. Theoretical situations. Would you rather have your genitals grafted on your forehead or have an orgasm every time you sneeze? Basic conversation topics you would have in school at lunch when you were a kid. For example, favorite food, favorite colors, holidays, etc. Hobbies. Literally any would you rather questions. Religion. S. Talking about the hypothetical. Minecraft, if you play it or at least played it. R. WYRR, polls. Your hobbies. The weather. Personal experience with. Trains, shopping, injuries, porches, purses, driving, travel, credit, faucets, keys, chlorine, colors, bread, magnets, laundry, candles, doors, swings, grass, basements, bottles, blackmail, bicycles. The possibilities are endless. Cooking. What you'd do with $1 million. 1 billion. Unlimited funds. Etc. If you could go to a concert with 3 bands, musicians, artists, dead or alive but at their peak with their whole catalog, who would you choose? You get to find out their music tastes, instead of just hearing, oh, little bit of everything. People often bring up memories that certain music brings. They'll talk about music they don't like. People they'd bring. It's even better in groups. Personal experiences. How you feel about relatively non-controversial things. I love, hate this weather we are having. Favorite foods, mixed drinks, goofy things our house pets or children are doing. New shows on TV, Netflix, whatever, sporting events. I think one of the reasons why people love TV shows is they can express opinions about fictional characters freely. If someone hates Cersei Lannister or Kramer, no one really has skin in the game unless they are a bit loony. Discussing potentially good topics of conversation that do not require much prerequisite knowledge. Opinions on religion or politics, which can be argued from faith without facts, but be considerate. Discussions of recent weather, popular movies or TV shows, though the resultant banter can quickly bottom out. Discussion of the background music being played. A great restaurant you've recently been to or wanted to visit. Or the pluses and minuses of the meal you just had. Your positive reactions to the fashion and wardrobe choices of the people you're talking with. That's a nice tie. There's really no reason to run out of topics for small talk. A little practice will make you adept. Politics. At least our politicians think that way. Food, travel, TV, entertainment will be my answer. Unfortunately, it seems to a good chunk of people that child rearing and politics is a good subject that doesn't require a lot because they have a complete grasp of the subject. In Republican circles, science is definitely a good one. Topics like COVID and climate change. Monopoly. You will have a lot of conversations. And nobody knows the rules properly. Cooperative storytelling. Personal interest versus the norm. Politics apparently. Funny. Misheard lyrics. Cute. Recipes you made as a kid, and tried. Peanut butter and mustard. It wasn't bad really. Challenge. Have you ever eaten a dog biscuit? Nice segue into pets in general. Dog or cat person. Cultural. Favorite movie stars and why? Opinions on Brexit. The weather. Taxes, because no one actually has factual knowledge of them anyway and yet they are still talked about. What makes something a soup instead of a sauce? And what makes something a soup and not a stew? A soup is what makes a sauce, not stew. I like philosophical topics like, why are animals less valued than humans? For instance, if there was a dog and a person, both needing dire assistance but you could only save one, which one would it be? Why? Are we in a simulation?
Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.